And we are champs. Welcome to the final wrap-up Fun V tailgate of the year. Well, we might do an off-season one or draft one, but for the 2017 season, the Fun V tailgate as a part of the Bullpen Cart podcast feed presented by Thunderblog Sports. I am the G-Man, Jordy Cannell. With me, as always, my man, Matty D, fresh from his flight back. What's up, buddy?
Oh my God. Like greatest weekend of all time, right?
It's incredible.
Like I can't, I think once an hour, I just start to get really hype and excited for no reason, but I know what the reason is, but for no reason. I'm still drinking my Eagles Bud Light beer.
We ran out of it in the city, so I'm just drinking blue ones.
There's a Thunder plug for you right there. Bud Light. Can't even say it. Not even sponsored.
Eagles beers. Remember we called them that in that one podcast?
Right,
the makers of Eagles beers.
But
anyway, you know the score. The Eagles have won Super Bowl 52. I mean, you were there. We're going to have your whole recap of the experience. Great job by the Patriots. It was honestly the best effort they could have put up. We pulled it out. Now, before we get into the game, kind of ask ourselves the bigger questions because we had two completely different experiences of it. We're going to start with you. You were in Minnesota the whole weekend, and you had yourself quite a time. Take us through it.
Hopefully, everyone out there was paying attention and looking at the Thunderblog Insta story, was trying to post what I could.
You were the king of the Insta story.
I was working hard at it.
Yes. We're going to get to why you're the king once we get to the actual game, but let's start with Friday.
We flew out Friday night, and I got to tell you, actually, I'm glad we brought up Friday night. So I'm trying to find something to do in Minneapolis Friday night. First of all, city, I'm just going to say right off the bat, I don't need to be said once because the people of Minnesota were incredible. No backlash whatsoever. Super nice, super chatty. Volunteers were everywhere. Everyone wanted to talk. They put on a hell of a show. Beautiful city. If you ever get a chance to get up there, in particular for a football game, not just the Super Bowl, do it. Do it. And I'll get that in a second. But Friday night, we actually went to see the Minnesota Wild play the Las Vegas Golden Knights in St. Paul because Minneapolis, St. Paul, two cities next to each other. Mississippi River comes right in between them. But they're all
the Minnesota Twins.
Right, and it's considered the Twin Cities. So St. Paul's a little smaller than Minneapolis. We took the train, the light rail over. An amazing spot to watch a hockey game. Really was blown away by the setup they've got there. It is a single sport arena. So St. Paul, it's no basketball there. It's just hockey. They have an awesome goal way up in the top corner. They have a lighthouse that shoots fog like it's on one of the Great Lakes.
Whoa.
And it goes off, and it was incredible atmosphere, great sight lines, like was beautiful setup. So excellent opportunity if the Flyers ever happen to play there, great game to go see. And it was cool to see the Golden Knights. Wild smoked them, which I was rooting for. If you had Eagles green and you're rooting for the Wild, then the people of Minnesota were on your side, without a doubt. A lot of Patriots fans getting booed by the Minnesota fans, not Eagles. There were a lot of Eagles fans there. The Minnesota Wild fans are booing the Patriots fans. Made you feel pretty good. Bought one of my Wild brethren a beer. They had a great time. So that was Friday. Saturday, we did a little tour in Minneapolis, St. Paul region, did a little trolley tour in a unexpectedly green trolley, which was pretty sweet. Cool to see the city, though. They have like the second largest basilica, just a massive church out of nowhere. We got to see where the Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx play basketball.
I was going to ask, so that's completely different stadium?
Completely different stadium. So that everything but hockey is in Minneapolis.
Oh,
and the Target Center and Target Field are right next to each other.
Okay.
So the basketball and baseball get played right next to each other. Target Field was lit up on the way in Friday night. It was beautiful. And they did a really good job. Everything's stacked on top of each other, like parking garages and stuff. So they have like a ton of room.
There's a ton of tunnels connecting everything, right?
So it's not tunnels, but actually they're called skywalks.
Shit.
It's so cold there. So what did they do? They built their sidewalks, and then there's skywalks, probably 20, 30 feet up in the air.
And they rollerblading in the Mighty Ducks.
Right. They run literally, they run all along the buildings. So if you didn't want to go outside, you didn't have to. You could pretty much get everywhere by those skywalks.
That's awesome.
Minneapolis has the majority of them. We weren't in St. Paul much, but St. Paul does have them as well. That's how we got up in the morning, put on our gear, went through the skywalks to the tailgate, like all the way. So that was pretty sweet. The tour was great, and then we went over to Mall of America, which I'll just say breathtakingly like it seems bigger than King of Prussia Mall by like a lot. It's just because the way they have it, it's like one big box.
Interesting.
So you could just pretty much.
It was bigger until the middle thing got finished, right?
So the King of Prussia has more stores, but Mall of America has more retail space. Like it's
for those not from the Philly area, which I don't imagine there's not a lot. We're not getting our usual Boston contingent here. I have a suspicion. The King of Prussia Mall is a mall right outside of Philadelphia. It is, as Matt is explaining, has the most stores, but in square feet, it's the second biggest.
Yeah, I believe so. I know it's still it has yes, what you said. King of Prussia has more stores, but not as big.
Yeah, because we don't have an amusement park.
Yes, correct. We do not have a full amusement park with roller coasters and log flumes.
Damn.
Like it was pretty impressive. It was really impressive.
Did you guys stay there, like where the players stayed and whatnot?
No. We drove by. So they stayed in the Radisson Blue. We stayed in the Radisson Red, which was less than about a block away from the stadium. You could see the stadium out the one window. Like if you tilted your head, you could see the stadium. There's a bigger building in the way, so it was like us stadium over here. So you could see a little bit. We were right down. We were pretty awesome. And then Saturday night we partied a little bit, hit the sack. Woke up Sunday morning. We went to the official NFL tailgate, and I was nervous because I'm like, you know what? All I've heard about is like how bad the crowds are, and I'm thinking this tailgate's going to be jammed in. We're not going to be able to get anything, a prepaid ticket for it. So we got there, did the skywalks, got there. They put us through security. We walk into this convention center, and I don't know if the NFL, they didn't save a dime on this. They went huge, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever walked into. They had like lockers of all different teams, NFL players like Carson Wentz, Odell Beckham Jr., Aaron Rodgers. Like they made their lockers on the way in, so you could like feel like you were walking through a locker room. And then you walk into this room, and there's just this huge structure in the middle, and then right in front of the structure, up on a little stand that you can walk up a ramp to, is the Lombardi Trophy itself in a glass case. You can take pictures with it, with the AFC and NFC championship games. And then they had free beer, which is pretty sweet. And there was no line for it because there were so many places to get it. Plus they had free food, and it was all like Minnesota delicacies or like they called it the Bold North, but like the old Midwest, like whatever they want to call it, the Old North delicacies that you could just snag. I saw Darius Rucker and Sting perform live. That was incredible. We partied there for a little bit. They had a bunch of the Super Bowl rings were there, and then we all climbed on buses very quickly and orderly. We get on the bus, and I'll tell you my celebrity story of the trip is coming up. Okay. So I'm sitting on the bus, and all of a sudden the girls around me start to hyperventilate. I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden one leans over and goes, "Hey, you're sitting next to Emma Roberts and Leah Michelle." And I was like, "What?"
Did not realize they were football fans.
I did not know they were football fans either. So at this point, I get an empty bottle thrown at me. They call me an idiot for not knowing who they are, which I kind of knew who they were. It hits me right in the face. It was empty, so it didn't hurt. But Emma Roberts turns around. Now I make eye contact. Now I'm like, "I know who you are. Oh my God." She's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Just a bottle. No big deal." "Oh my God, I thought you were hurt." And then
not a big deal.
I'm like, "Whoa, girl. Whoa, girl." And so no, she was really sweet. And right after that happened, I just decided it was time. The bus was ready for it. Mostly Eagles fans, and I just began the fight song right there. Fly Eagles fly, and then they all joined in, and the bus was rocking. And we jumped off the bus. Because we were already through security, we didn't have to go through the security checkpoint. And at this point, like I had seen the stadium, and it was impressive. But boy, it is one of the coolest buildings I've ever been inside of. It is bigger in person than it is on TV. I mean, really? It is like a starship. It's so huge inside. And I would say my initial estimate, 55% Eagles fans, 35% Pats fans, maybe, and then this other like 10% that were just non-Eagles or Pats fans. Some Vikings fans.
Super Bowl tickets.
You know, I saw Vikings. I saw a Redskins jersey. I saw a Cardinals jersey. I saw a Giants jersey. You know, like random teams that just show up. People that just show up because maybe they come in for work or they just have tickets and they want to go. But a predominantly Eagles crowd. I think you could almost say 60% Eagles fans.
Wow.
And then things started to get fucking loud.
So how close to game time is this?
80 minutes. We get there 80 minutes before game time. We did a little loop on the top level. Met up with our friend Christy, an Eagles fan as well.
Shout out to Christy.
Yep. Great time. We sat on her. But the thing is, like 80 minutes, it's really like 30 minutes before the festivities.
Yeah, because they start all the camaraderie and stuff.
Right. So we ran it back up to the seats so we could watch the teams come out, which was electric. I gotta say, both teams had great songs to come out. With Meek Mills, and then I forget the Patriots one because it'll come to me. And then the national anthem started. Oh, they do "America the Beautiful" beforehand, which was awesome. The national
Leslie
anthem,
Odom Jr.
Right, and then we couldn't see it, but we could hear the flyover, which was like. So there's like the whole top of the stadium has windows on it.
Yeah,
it's for sunlight, so it can heat the building kind of as well. But there was a little bit of snow on it, so you couldn't really see anything. But that was fine. But it didn't matter because you know what happened then? Kickoff happened, and. Yep. I think I've aged 20 years. I definitely stopped breathing a couple times. I went from the highest of highs with the Nick Foles touchdown catch, the Alshon Jeffries touchdown catch, Clement, or like everything. I mean, you're just like Blunt's run. And then the strip sack fumble, like honestly, to the lowest of lows, because right before that strip sack fumble, when we lost the lead, I was like sitting. I was stunned, disbelief, shock. But
yep.
When that fumble,
my heart is rerunning through the feeling of that day.
So because the whole stadium bring mostly Eagles fans or Eagles supporters, because really it's like 65% are Eagles supporters. Because if you weren't one of the 35% of the Patriot fans, you were an Eagle fan. You know,
yeah.
When the strip sack happened, because everyone was so quiet, the place just went. I mean, things were being thrown. It was so crazy
Yep.
And I will say, a lot of really good Eagles chants. The Rocky theme song, everyone was singing along. But there was, at least in the upper bowl where I was sitting, you know, I would have had the sideline pass if intern Jared had got us, you know, done what he's supposed to do and got us. But whatever, it's fine. They started doing the Foles chant on the whole upper bowl, and I think it was his touchdown to Clement where that started and that's really kicked off. And they did it one more time after Ertz, but. I will report that the last play of the game was one of the hardest plays to watch because A, we're super freaking nervous, right?
Yep.
But B, at the stadium, I'm far away. I've got to look at the ball in the air. I got to look at the players on the ground. I got to watch the refs for flags, and I'm trying to watch the clock. I'm watching like 4 different things. So the whole stadium, and even the players in the field, like the defensive backs in particular, I don't know if you noticed this, there was like a second pause when the ball hit the ground, because everyone assumed there'd be 1 second back on the clock. That's normally how to do that.
It was close. It was very close on TV too.
And the Patriots fans, there were 3 fans in front of us, really respectful. All the Pats fans, super respectful. The Eagles fans, really respectful. Back to the Pats fans and everybody. Everyone was really nice to each other, like having a great time. They shook our hands after the strip sack of Brady. They congratulated us. They already thought we had won. And they had left. They left really quickly, and I understand that. But everybody else was Eagles fans. Going absolutely crazy, hugging friends, hugging strangers, jumping over chairs, chanting, screaming. I got to tell you, I openly wept when we won the game.
I did too.
I openly wept. It was amazing.
I did too.
I celebrated for a second, and then it just kind of hit me all at once. The confetti's coming down, and I mean, everyone's running around the field, and it was just pandemonium because we made a miracle happen. With Big Dick Saint Nick Foles, baby, and I'm so pumped up.
Nicholas,
I know, and unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to watch the full game in replay. I'm going to be doing that.
Okay.
So what I need from you is I need some expert analysis because I've read about it, I've seen some highlights, but I need to know, like, go for it. Give me like what you were feeling and like what your thoughts were on the game as like football game.
Sure. So, a couple thoughts I had. One, we talked a lot about the secondary for the Eagles, and it turned out to be the same thing with the Patriots. With whatever happened to Malcolm Butler, there's been a number of things that have been thrown around. With him not playing. First of all, did you guys know? I know some of the people that you were with are very astute in finding their information while at game. Did you guys know Malcolm Butler wasn't playing?
Absolutely no idea. Absolutely
no idea. Yeah. So I didn't know really. I was at a bar, so I could barely hear it. Enough that Chris Collinsworth annoyed us because we'd all remembered him for the Seattle game, just being a real dickhead.
Right.
And he was still kind of a dickhead. You could kind of hear Al Michaels. People kind of shut up for the commercials, which you weren't missing anything there. Like really down year for the commercials. I think it's just they don't even release them before the game anymore. They're just on YouTube. But anyway, back to the game. So both secondaries didn't really do a good job of containing, obviously, the most yards ever in the history of the NFL, postseason or regular season in a single game. But that was okay. I mean, Nick Foles delivered in that way in terms of scoring, getting it to the right guys. Doug Peterson called nearly a perfect game, and the stats aren't going to reflect it because of just a real freak accident of an interception towards the end of the first half. That almost, I thought, was going to be our 28-3 moment, was going to be that, and the defense stepped right up. The Patriots obviously didn't fumble. I think they went down and kicked a field goal, if I remember correctly. Or the first half. No, the first half didn't end because it ended with Nick Foles. So kind of the big ones to take away from that were talked about immediately the day after are the Corey Clement catch and the Zach Ertz, which the Zach Ertz, that was last, obviously, the game-winning touchdown. We'll start with Corey Clement. Have you seen that highlight? At least?
Both, Clement and Ertz?
You've seen both. Ertz is a non-factor because the Chris Long tweet encapsulates that entirely. He took 4 steps. He caught it on the 6-yard line. He becomes the runner, which is a stupid rule in general. But there's no way in hell that the ground causing a fumble after he's already crossed the plane makes it not a touchdown.
Right, it's a touchdown.
So the Corey Clement catch, I have 2 thoughts. My first is that it's very close. I personally think it's a catch. I'm a little biased, I'll admit, but I think it's a catch. He caught it perfectly on time, took step at the same time, the second step, and then there's actually a picture that looks like the third step was in on TV in the straightaway. It looked like it might have been out. Now, it leads me into part B because there's been a huge debate about it, kind of as a 1 to B, A to 2, however you want to do it, a 1.5 of the debate of whether it is or not, which leads me right into 2. The refs called it a touchdown on the field. The fact that people are still debating it on Wednesday night, I'm sure there are. I haven't really watched a lot of national coverage of it, but I've seen Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith. Insert the yellers' names that love to just argue about things. Talk about this. And the fact that it's so highly debatable means that there's no way to indisputably prove that it wasn't a catch. And that's what the NFL would need to overturn that call. So, and I would say the same thing if they called it incomplete and then it was called, and then by further review, the call stood. Right. I don't think it would have gotten confirmed if it was called incomplete and then, went to review. It would have just stood. So those are my 2 thoughts there. The strip sack itself, I mean, I'm sure you probably had the same thought where all of a sudden the ball is just out because the entire game, the pocket collapsed around Tom Brady and you could see him do it. He found his guys. He found Gronk for over 100 yards. He found all these different guys for over 100 yards. He threw for over 500. And, the defensive line was able to constrict him and make him throw it quicker, but they didn't break. They bent to him not giving up a sack, but they didn't break. Mm-hmm. And when he finally, Brandon Graham punches that ball out, all of a sudden you just see it. Because really, even on the back end view from the wire cam, All of a sudden, it's just out, and Derek Barnett has it. And it was incredible. The bar went insane for it. And then, I don't know if you've seen this part. I'm sure you have because it was included in every highlight package I've seen. But immediately, the camera cuts to Jeffrey Lurie. Bradley Cooper sitting right next to him going ape shit. Everyone else in the box going ape shit. Lurie immediately looks like a quarterback on third down in a loud college football game going, shush, 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 shush. Because there's still, I don't even think the 2-minute warnings hit at this point. I don't think it did until after the Patriots got the ball back. Because the Eagles go down, kick a field goal. Jake Elliott redeems the missed extra point. 2 missed 2-point attempts. The second attempt had it looked like it should have maybe been called pass interference. It didn't look like he looked back. That's neither here nor there at this point because the results, we don't need to be revisionist history. I know I'm kind of all over the place. I'm just remembering points of the game. Early on in the game, the Malcolm Jenkins hit on Brandon Cooks. One thing that we should mention too, Brian Dawkins got into the Hall of Fame, and I watched a number of his highlight packages on Sunday morning, and a lot of them looked like the Malcolm Jenkins hit. Not to say that it's not helmet-to-helmet contact, because they did hit heads. Even though his head was up the whole time, I think that's a legitimate tackle. You look at a lot of Brian Dawkins highlights, and his head is not up, and those were never called against him for flags.
Right.
But very similar to that, and especially watching that morning, it reminded me a lot of that style of football and that attitude they brought in, which is what they needed from this. I meant, Doug Peterson obviously, kept his cool aside from basically just flaunting his testicles in a wheelbarrow of how big they fucking are.
That's right.
The defense went nuts. I mean, everybody's going fucking nuts. And the game ends. We don't even watch the Lombardi Trophy get presented. We immediately rush the field to put it in, to give it to you the way that you would know. It was like when Lehigh beat Duke. Everybody just turned around. We were all paying our tabs to,
right,
with about a minute left. Because the game just, as soon as the 2-minute warning hit, the Patriots didn't have any timeouts. Clock was moving up, clock's moving, play after play after play after play after play. Regardless of how this game's going, you can tell there's going to be some type of demonstration at City Hall. So we're getting prepared for it. We felt a little optimistic, a little more than we perhaps should have, considering that the Patriots were an inch away from catching that Hail Mary, on a deflection, but it comes down, game goes nuts, and here's where we get to the fun. So just like first, before we do that, a couple things that happened before and during the game. And if you follow us on Twitter, ThunderBLG, you would have seen this because I tweeted it out from my girlfriend's phone. I broke my phone before the game. I thought it would have been cool because if you were following us along on Saturday, well, Matt was taking his tour of Minneapolis. I was at the Flyers game, and I liked having the dual coverage. I thought this was going to be great. I break my phone before the game even fucking starts. I broke it at 2:00, 4.5 hours before the fucking game starts. I literally was just so deflated as if the Eagles already lost. I go through all the steps of grief, anger, bargaining, all this stuff. I'm constantly trying to restart my phone. So we get to you in the Instagram stories, and you can find this on our Instagram, Thunderblog Sports. You got the Big Dick Nick catch.
I did.
Perfectly timed, and it is incredible. This is the all-time video. It can never be beaten by anything that either of us will ever do or anybody else that touches the Thunderblog account. You fucking got it. And the deafening, which is also on that Super Bowl 52 package on our homepage. Go watch it. But you fucking got the play.
It was tough because it took me a couple times to master because I wanted to see it with my own eyes. So
yeah,
I got the phone on and you got to wait because the problem is too is I don't know when you can't see it, you can't hear anything, so I don't know when the play is going to start.
You almost have to hold it like this so you can watch both. But
I've got my thumb and then as soon as I started to record, the play starts. Now I just lean. But I kept my arm locked, thank God, because I caught it, and it was.
I mean, Holy
Amazing.
shit.
I got to tell you something. I don't think these guys are getting enough credit here. And the one guy in particular that I think is not getting any press for how well he played was Big V.
Yep.
Shut down James Harrison. They couldn't send anything at him. The offensive line was fantastic because you could see that they were going to take away a lot of the running game from us. But other than that, they couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop us anything we did.
Well, Garrett Blunt even broke out a bunch of huge plays to start it off, and they adjusted very well. The Patriots did a great job of adjusting. Matt Patricia, as many things I've seen on the internet about, the Lions defense is going to be so solid, they just let up 41 points to Nick Foles. Like they're going to be good. They're getting a great coach. Did you see he shaved his beard? Well, not entirely, just trimmed it.
Did he for the press conference?
It is night and day. I mean, holy fuck.
Well, I will say this. If you're going to talk about anybody in the Pats defense that actually showed up, it would be Stephon Gilmore.
Yep.
Because what I couldn't see is after Alshon Jeffrey rampaged the secondary in the first quarter, they moved Gilmore over, whether they eliminated or they just decided they could beat him elsewhere.
Yeah. Eric Rowe was getting lit up.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Everyone's been talking about it. Malcolm Butler's got to be in the game. I don't care if he's sick. He can't be worse than the two guys they had in the field. He can't be. I thought Roddy McLeod, at least from what I could see, had a great game. He had that incredible drop stop of Brandon Cooks in the Jets.
Right on third down. Yeah,
I think Cooks probably made a mistake trying to leap him, but I loved it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what I think maybe he thought it was going to be same Minnesota Miracle play where Roddy McLeod puts his head down and he can just hop him.
Now, normally though, what I was impressed with is even if he jumps, he normally falls forward because he's too high for McLeod to get his center of gravity low. McLeod just stuck him. I was blown away there. But at the end of the day, I mean, our receivers came to play. Torrey Smith and Nelson Aguilar were making catches like I've never seen before. Ertz obviously had a huge day. People forget, everyone's talking about how great Nick Foles was. Trey Burton's pass was, and I know he was open, but it was perfect. And here's why.
It was perfect.
Right, because Danny Amendola, Brady dropped the ball, but it was definitely
overthrown a little bit.
It was
hit his fingertips.
For Brady, it was overthrown.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's not a receiver.
He didn't need to hit Brady like that. He could hit Brady right in the – Brady just turn around and catch it. Instead, Brady had to do this. So I think that was a huge deal. Yeah. I mean – and I will say this too. We brought the Clement catch.
Yeah.
One of the things I think people forget is that in the regular season, we have a new officiating czars this year. They were overturning a lot. In the old regimes, though, they would only overturn it if there was undisputed evidence. And when the playoffs began, it looks like somebody Goodell grabbed the official.
Yeah, you're right.
Said, look, if you can't guarantee it's not, then it's not. Like, let the call on the field stand more. And I think that's why with this Clement catch, it was called and held because it was not irrefutable that he didn't catch it. And that's where I would go with that one at least because that's what I saw. And I'll take it because, quite frankly, if they didn't call it there, if they called it a non-catch, I'm not sure he would have gotten – I'm not sure a review would have given him a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was on third down too. So it was, I think, from the 30-yard line. So you're bringing Jake Elliott back out and it's a 4-point play. But before we finally get to the after party, any other thoughts while you're at the game? Anything else you needed the television eye of? What was the halftime show like in person?
Meh.
It wasn't good.
At best. Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he just phoned it in because everybody was just so it was so
maybe
about it.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. Also, the other problem too is it's hard for the noise to travel. It's not a good acoustics. Right, you can't really get it as high as you wanted to. So maybe it was better right down the field, but I wasn't impressed. But you know what? It is where it is. I don't watch it for the halftime shows. If I had it my way, Bruce Springsteen would just play every time. But I don't have it my way. So, stuck with that. I love
That's
the
true.
Bulls every time. But no, I mean, overall, I mean, I've read enough about the games to see it. It was wild. But
Not as wild as the streets of Philadelphia after, and I really fucking wish my phone hadn't been broken. As much as I would have loved to get bar reactions, the streets of Philadelphia. So I was in Fishtown. For those that don't know, it's not northeast Philly, but it's northeast of Center City. So you have to take a subway to get to where the everything you saw is. We got on the L, and we waited for maybe 5 minutes for it. Everybody's going ape shit. We're hugging people. We do have a video. We did go on Twitter Live via my girlfriend's phone on our account, and we're like hugging dudes we don't know. Me, my buddy Alex, my girlfriend, and one guy just turns to us on camera to announce to Twitter, "Where's my sister?" And it was just pandemonium. We get on this thing. We're screaming, "We're the champions." Nobody, like, and it's not even people are shoving. It's just we all feel like we're packed in like sardines. It's wall to wall. And as soon as we get out, and there was debate on the subway of where to get out, whether it was 11th Street, 13th Street, which is the next one from Broad Street. Broad is technically 14th for those uninitiated, or City Hall, and just run right upstairs. We got out 13th, so we sprinted down Market into the City Hall Square area, and we were in the heart of the action. We were right next to the Ritz-Carlton, which lost an awning. We weren't that close to the Wawa that got its windows busted. We weren't anywhere near that Sunoco that got ransacked. That video got released today, and that's absolute crazy town. I don't know where the dude ate the horse shit, so I can't tell you how close I was to that. But a lot of the images that were on everybody's Instagrams and all this were the bottle rockets that were lit off right on basically right in front of the goddamn gates of City Hall, which people were climbing over to get into the square that has nothing in it in the middle of City Hall. It's just closed off. It's a closed off area. I don't know what you're doing, but there are bottle rockets lighting off everywhere. People are pulling down street signs. Everybody's chanting Big Dick Nick. We're the champions. Fuck Tom Brady. A whole mess of all this stuff. And it's absolute bonkers. The craziest part is that if you were in the city, you knew probably 100 people that were also in the city. Of said 100, from judging on their pictures that I've seen on either Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, yada, 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 I swear to God, 90% of these people were within like 10 yards of me.
Wow.
And it was just so crowded and so nuts. Everybody's happy. Nobody's pissed off. The people ripping down signs were just doing it basically to prove that they could, because they're putting up fucking motor oil on the goddamn poles. Fuck your motor oil. I don't care if I ruin my Eagles jersey, because I'll buy a new one that has a Super Bowl patch. I'm going to climb up this fucking pole and tear it down. They tore down those fucking holiday light things that they put up on the right on the side below the lights. But point being, everybody was just right there. And the case in point, when I bought my new phone on Monday, I had a bunch of Snapchats that I couldn't look at. And one of my friends, our buddy Logan, who we need to get on this, why we haven't in nearly a year baffles me. But he watched the game at his sister's house, which was about 5 minutes from the bar I'm at, maybe 10. He got on a stop away from us. I think he might even got on the same stop on the subway, basically sending the same Snapchats to me that we were sending out to everybody of just people going ape shit. And it looked like we were just a stop away, a subway car away, and a couple steps away from each other from where we were celebrating. I mean, I'm sure everyone else has stories like this. It was absolutely nuts. We walk back around City Hall, go north on Broad Street because I live up there. There's garbage trucks blocking off this area that people have just climbed on top of and are just there. They're sitting on it. They're not even trying to knock it over. I think there's the video of the people knocking over the Prius, and that was really about it. And I think only 8 people got arrested in Philly, which good job. Good job, everybody. Especially with I think it's going to be more with the vandalization video coming out, but That's just me. But here's the craziest thing. As crazy as it is, we saw somebody eat horse excrement. People were fucking trying to drive through this shit, not to like run people over or anything. They're just trying to leave Philly. Why did you drive? What the fuck were you thinking? And this is close to Spring Garden Street, which was also just a party. People are just trying to turn onto Broad of all cities of all streets in Philadelphia. Why in God's name would you turn onto Broad Street? Anyway, we're running out of time. If you need more, go watch the Barstool video. It's about 6 minutes long. It's incredible. I mean, it's awesome. But we got a little parade tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will be there. I got tricked by my boss on Tuesday because I took Monday off in saying that because I took Monday off, I wasn't allowed to take tomorrow off Thursday. And I did not handle that news well. Point, we're sitting down in a meeting and my boss is like, oh yeah, can somebody take pictures for Jordy? Can somebody do it? Somebody get it? I'm like, what? My heart felt like it was going to explode more than it did in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. I was so upset and like very visibly so. I like walked up. I had to take a step into our break room for a second and come back in. I'm like, I'm fine. But anyway, it's tomorrow, Thursday. If you're coming down, be safe. From what I heard from the Phillies parade, I wasn't there. If you're taking the train in or you're trying to drive, I don't even think the roads are open for the most part, or at least the main roads to get in are going to have very limited access. But be safe. I live down here, so it's easy for me to get here. I'm going to need to be safe, though, because, you can't trust me and all this shit. It should be a lot of fun. Starts at the stadium and ends at the Rocky Steps, which somebody in my office pointed this out today. How poetic is it that we started technically the calendar year of 2017, the first big event was the draft on the Rocky Steps.
Right.
The Lombardi Trophy was right there in Eakins Oval, and now it ends on top of those fucking steps. It's incredible.
I love it.
So,
I didn't realize that. That's strong.
Yeah, right? Somebody pointed that out. Shout out to Nick Tierno for pointing that out to me. But it should be a ton of fun. I'm on my walk home from work. I noticed it on my walk from work to and from work yesterday, on my walk certainly to work today. They've had the gates kind of set up on my walk home from work in the rain. So shout out to whoever it is, whether it's the city of Philadelphia, people that work for the city or whoever is getting hired, event staff, whatever. I'm putting up these gates, all the banners that are everywhere, all the guys that basically are normally outside the Wells Fargo Center selling Billy Joel t-shirts, selling Eagles Super Bowl stuff. I mean, we are ready for this. Bud Light's giving out free beer. Where is still up in the air. Yards is also giving out free beer, but they're not opening up early. They're opening up during the parade. So whether or not I actually get to experience the free Yards is still there. Watch that on our Instagram. It should be a lot of fun. I should have some type of recap Thursday night along with the Flyers because get this, I'm going to the parade. All the stuff at the Art Museum is scheduled to go from like 1 to 3, 3:30. Then I need to figure out what I'm doing from 3:30 to 7 for the Flyers Canadians game. The roads don't even open up until 6 for people to leave Philly. The trains start running normally at 4 or 5 in terms of leaving the city.
Gotcha.
The subway is free, but they only have limited stops, including the stadiums, including Spring Garden, so I'm fine there. I just need to figure out, are they still running every 10 minutes?
Okay.
And what time I should go down to the game. I normally leave for a 7 o'clock game at 6. You've done this with me before.
Right.
I need to figure this out. But it's going to be a long day. And it's too much thinking for me to have to do with the amount of booze I'm going to have drank at that point of the day. But, so be it. But follow that along. I should have some type of wrap-up on the site. If you haven't noticed, we've brought back the nightly roundup where I talk about the day that was, wrapping up sporting events and giving out other links. But Matt, any other thoughts? Anything else that you have for us before we close the book on the 2017 football season?
I've got two things. First question.
Okay.
Do you think I should go Brandon Graham Super Bowl logo jersey or Zach Ertz Super Bowl logo jersey. See, now I'm citing Brandon Graham, a Michigan guy. How about this? How about one of the most untold underdog stories? Because he came here as a first-round draft pick many years ago and immediately was, why didn't we take Earl Thomas? You know what? It's nothing against Earl Thomas. Hall of Famer. Very, very, once a generational safety. But Earl Thomas never strip-sacked the greatest quarterback of all time. Never went through everything Brandon Graham's had to go through to be one of the most underrated underdog defensive ends, because quite frankly, he has been a stud all year and his statistics have never shown it here. He always creates pressures further, and he does it, and all he does he does it from the inside D tackle spot. So I'm on the lookout for a Brandon Graham Super Bowl. I want the logo on it for him, jersey.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna get a Wentz jersey. I've been trying to do that for 2 weeks. There's been nothing available.
Yeah.
Never owned an NFL jersey before. Borrowed one for the Super Bowl from a great friend, my boy Tony. Thank you, Tony. Shout out.
Tony.
I would like to have two. One Carson, one Super Bowl. So I'm on the lookout for Brandon Graham. I think I'm gonna go him over Ertz at this point.
It's understandable. You love Michigan.
Yes.
Hence your love of
Brandon Graham.
Are you resuming the love of Tom Brady? Is that okay now, or are you waiting a little bit?
No, well, a couple things. I was all Eagles all the way.
Yeah. Well, I knew that.
Brady is
I knew that. There's no way that your girlfriend is going to let you say anything positive about Tom Brady in Minnesota. I know that whole family. They're not letting you say that.
I know. I agree. So here's the thing.
They're diehard. They're the best.
He's still the best. He's still the GOAT. He's still the greatest to do it. There's a high probability he'll be back in the Super Bowl again next year. He threw for 500 yards, but at the end of the day, he did not do enough. He had the ball. I know he had a great day, but he had the ball with 2 minutes left, and all he needed was a touchdown to win the Super Bowl. Not even a touchdown, a 2-point conversion. That was before that, and he let the ball get strip sacked. So he's still the GOAT. And you know what? I will say this: everyone's talking about how he didn't shake Foles' hand, and that's true. He didn't specifically after praising. Well, he did shake players' hands though. He shook Derek Barnett's hand. He shook Trey Burton's hand. He shook what guy am I thinking of? On the way to the locker room, he shook the players' hands. You're right. He did not shake
the iconic quarterback handshake, though.
It hasn't always happened before. He's not the first quarterback to run off the field. He won't be the last. Maybe you think it's a dick move, and that's fine. Quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care. We won the Super Bowl. I don't care.
We did win the Super Bowl.
Perfectly happy. Perfectly happy with it.
We won the fucking Super Bowl.
I'm circling already. I'm circling the Thursday in probably September, I think, if I had to guess. Eagles at home. We're finally opening the season as the Super Bowl champions. I don't know who we're going to play yet. I don't care. I hope we play Dallas.
It's got to be the Vikings, right?
I know. I want Dallas. Because I want to smoke them at home to let them know. So I'm fired up for that. Circle it. We're going one way or the other. We're getting tickets. We're going to that game.
Yeah, buddy.
We need to tailgate. We need to party, and we need to celebrate what our team has done, and then we need to look forward. After that starting with that game, we're looking forward to the next one, which is next year in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We begin the dynasty.
Time.
Can't wait, baby.
One game at a time.
And you know what? Here's the best part. Whether it's Nick, St. Nick, or the champion himself, Carson Wentz, just got engaged. Congratulations. I don't care who it is. We're going to be fine. Go Birds.
It's going to be just fine.
Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.
I'm excited. Can't wait for next week.
Yep.
Next week. I'm also excited to start getting into a little golf talk with you.
Yep. Pebble Beach this week.
We've been battling. We've been battling back and forth.
Yes. Yeah, we had a good battle this week on Sports Geek.
Yeah. We got to get the people involved because it's been a fun time for me picking.
I think their baseball opens up soon. I have to talk to Brandon, our boy Brandon.
Yeah.
And see when that does open up. But
it's way easier than I thought it was going to be. And the league's great.
It's really easy.
And it's going to get better because we're going to actually get to tournaments where it's like regular season. Guys are playing. So if you guys have
and you start getting an idea too and we should start wrapping things up. But quickly with golf, with DraftKings golf, quick advice. You start seeing trends in guys that you've seen at the top of the leaderboard that the prices don't react very quickly.
Right.
With football, the prices react week to week. Golf, they don't. Baseball, they react week to week because there's 7 days worth of action. Same thing with basketball and hockey, even though hockey's a real crapshoot. Don't play DraftKings hockey. Basketball, yes, even that's still a little bit of a crapshoot, but a little bit easier to figure out.
Gotcha.
But a little too much of this. We need to wrap things up.
We're getting
we both have a few other things to do.
Next
week we'll talk all of this. We come back to our regular stuff. We'll just be back to the bullpen card, even though baseball hasn't started yet. In terms of the name, instead of coming up with a basketball hockey mix. But that's going to do it. The final of the season calendar, the regular and postseason of the Fun V Tailgate 2017 football season. It's been awesome. Obviously, we have a little bit to praise. Alabama and Bill Belichick. Alabama and the Patriots, rather. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick still have never won a title in the same year.
That's like it. I like it. I love it. I love it. Go Birds.
That's going to do it for us. Follow us on Twitter, ThunderBLG. I can't wait for next week. Thunder Blog Sports on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to check out the website and the blog posts there. But for my man, Matty D, thank you as always. I am the G-Man, Jordy Cannell. Have a good night, everyone. I hope to see you at the parade. Hopefully you listen to this while you're on your way down to the parade. If you're listening to it afterwards, feel free to laugh at how ridiculous we were there. Go Birds, baby.
Hey, all we need, brother.
All we got.